Hey, it's Erin Cook coming to you today with the 3 things that I wish I would have done differently. Basically, 3 big mistakes that I made when I was first a travel expert, and I wanted to pass these along to you so that you can avoid them as well. So when I obviously started my travel business, I had just come from a physical therapy career of 15 years. So all I had been doing was booking friends and family and myself, of course, on big box booking engines for the last 12 years, okay? So that's why I transitioned into the travel business so easily, but I really had no idea what I was doing as far as that went. So the very first big mistake that I made, because I did not have a mentor, I did have a host agency who gave me all these tips, but I decided to just glaze over them. So the one thing that I really wish I had started with, obviously, and you've heard me say it before, is finding a niche. I didn't really understand what that was. I mean, I knew that you could specialize in the travel industry, but I thought, why do that? Of course, I'm Superwoman, right? I have all these kids and I have a nice house. I have 3 businesses. Why do I need to specialize? I can do it all. And the more that I do, the more money I can make, right? I mean, you've heard the spiel before. The riches really are in the niches because you just get faster at doing your job when you are so much more prepared to do so with all your research being done, all your knowledge. I travel to these places, I know all about them. So when somebody contacts me for my niche, basically almost instantly I can tell you which ones are right for you and which are not. So that was the very first big mistake that I made. And obviously I've learned that, right? You hear me say it all the time, find a niche, find a niche, find a niche. Okay. Along with that, I guess I could tag on, is that I needed to build a brand around that niche. Instead, what I did, and I wish I had a picture of it, it's horrible. If you want to see the worst logo on the planet, head to my YouTube page. My old Custom Memories travel logo is terrible. And I had a kid, I had seen a webinar and they said, hire a student, graphic designer student, and have them design it, or graphic art, I don't know what you call it. So I did. I found that and it was terrible. It was a sun and it had waves underneath it, basically, is what my logo was. So generic, right? It didn't really scream I'm different. So that was kind of my big first mistake that I would say. Second one is not knowing how to do events. Okay, I don't talk about this a ton. I love doing events. I just did a bridal show today. It was amazing. Not a lot of brides, but very easy for me now that I've done them and know how to do events to be able to get those qualified leads or to see actually who at the bridal show was qualified. But when I first started out, I had no idea what I was doing. I just thought, okay, I go to these bridal shows or I go to networking events at the time because I wasn't really specialized. So I would just go, I would tell people what I do, and they'd be interested and I would book them, right? That's how this whole thing works. No. So I remember when I finally did start doing bridal shows, I would go to a bridal show, I would just get the list of names, at the end, and I would, send them an email. Hey, if you're ready to book your vacation or your honeymoon, call me. Crickets, right? Yeah, I talked with people, but I didn't think about getting my own list. I didn't think about really forming relationships with these people. I just wanted them to book with me. So like I said, I didn't have anything set up to help nurture. I expected the sale. I guess that's what my mistake was, is I expected to go to these shows and get a sale or, maybe even a consultation with everybody to talk about booking so that I could get the sale. And that's totally not what it is. Travel is a marathon. It's not really a sprint. And that's also true when we're dealing with our customers. It's such a huge investment that is you can't expect things just like that. And I bombed because I didn't have a follow-up system. So number 1 in my events, I didn't have a goal. I didn't know what my goal was. And my goal was to get bookings, but it wasn't a realistic goal. That shouldn't have been my goal at this brand awareness networking event, to consumer event. And then I didn't have a follow-up system. So those were really 2 big mistakes in one when it came to doing events. And plus my branding was, all over the place. My setup was crazy. I could go on and on about events. So that's why I talk a lot about events in the Travel Biz Impact Membership Academy, because we need help with those. They're not easy to pull off and they certainly can't be last minute. And then I would say that my third biggest would be email funnels. Like I said, I didn't have a follow-up system, not only for my events, but for anybody. So I would have people, right, has this happened to you? So somebody calls you and says, hey, Susie Q, my friend, your cousin or whatever, said that you're booking travel and I want to go on a vacation. Can you help me? And you're like, oh yay, blah, blah, blah. And you're talking back and forth. And then it's you don't hear anything back. You know, you may not even have done the quote yet, but you don't hear anything back. And people get busy and things happen, okay? It doesn't mean they're not going to book with us. We got to realize this too. I still make this mistake, and I assume that people are just like, have fallen off the face of this earth and aren't going to book their travel with me. But that's what I did. So when I didn't hear back from the person, I was like, well, that sucks. Well, I lost a sale. So I never contacted them again. I never did, you know, I wasn't the person to like chase, I guess. I would talk to people until they stopped talking to me. And then maybe I'd try once and that didn't end up anywhere. So I would just stop. Oh my gosh, people need nurturing. Things happen. I don't know if, you know, half of those people something might have happened in their family or they got sick or whatever, but life happens. And they will sometimes see your emails come through, but they can't always respond or they can't even open it, but at least you're in the inbox. And so when I did a bridal show in April of 2015, I think it's 2015. I get my years confused now because I'm so bad. Having 4 kids does that. But so then I got my email funnels together. I did a bridal show and I kept sending people every 2 weeks after these first few consecutive emails in the beginning. Here's a hint, write this down. If you can get somebody to respond to your email within the first 4 days that you send one to them, the algorithm's better and you will most likely land in their inbox, the priority inbox rather than spam. So try to get them to respond that first 4 days. Anyway, I digress. So I send now the first 4 emails and then every 2 weeks. So I was doing this with this bride. I didn't even meet her at the bridal show. That she had just opted in to my drawing, okay, which on there said you'll get communication via email. So she had opted in. I hadn't talked to her, got home, put her in my funnel. 2 years later, 18 to 20 months, I can't remember the exact, but almost 2 years later, she calls, like on the phone. A millennial calls me and says, hey, Erin, I've been getting your emails. I went to a bridal show at this place and, you know, wasn't ready to book because we've had, you know, 2 years to plan the wedding, but we're ready and we want to go on a honeymoon. And I was wondering if you could help me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you've been looking at my emails. And I went back after this and I was like, okay, into my analytics. And I'm like, she barely opened hardly any of them. But the point was I was in there. So that is a huge mistake that I was making before in the travel business because I was losing all this business. I think I lost a lot of business because I didn't have a nurturing funnel. I didn't have a lot of different funnels, which I'm not going to scare you. If you saw my email funnel post, you know what I mean, but you have to have at least 3 funnels, I believe. At least 3 funnels, okay, if you have one niche. So I didn't have any of that in place. So I would say that would be my 3rd biggest mistake. I lost a lot of business. So again, finding your niche and, you know, doing the proper branding and logo, I think is really important in the beginning because you really need to know who you're talking to, the message that you want to put out there, and what people can expect from you as a business. So that was my first mistake. Second one, you really need to dig deep into events. You need to learn how to plan them, what your goal is, how to make sure that you can, you know, get your goal accomplished there, and then bring it to the nurturing funnel afterwards. How are you going to nurture those leads that now you've gotten at that event? And how to host your own event, I think, is really important. And then again, email funnels. I can't say it enough. So those are all things we cover in the Travel Biz Impact Membership Academy. If you're ever interested in it, obviously go to travelbizimpact.com. You can see the status of when we are opening, and I would love to have you there. We cover way more than that, and we have a great group of people in there. So I urge you to head to travelbizimpact.com and see when the next time we open is.